What's up, beautiful people? It's your girl, it's Leanne. I'm getting blissed out this beautiful Thursday morning with my dear friend Andrew Gross from out at 3 Energy in Vancouver. And today we'll be doing Shedding into Soul Culture podcast 35. Now, these podcasts have been ongoing with not only the things that I'm teaching, but the people that I get to teach with. And Andrew is a light in my life. Now, I've had a therapy with him recently that has given me bliss. Let's just talk about the bliss I had. Okay, before we get into these questions, I want you all to know I came home from teaching at the studio, booked an appointment with him, and I've been having a misalignment on my left side for quite some time because it's my weaker side. My stronger side is my right side. And I've also recognized being a single mom that my feminine side gets depleted when I'm being a mother father all the time. So I've learned over the years being a teacher or a guide in the areas where I need to work on. So I'll do female modalities, dance, different things to balance my feminine side. But I was so grateful when I came across knowing not only is my student friend, but now my teacher and admiration for acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, doctor that's growing in our community has an opportunity to serve you. So this is what it's all about today in Shedding the Soul Culture podcast number 35. This is a mood I want to bring to the community of what did I experience with bliss when I was in the hands and arms of this beautiful being, Andrew Gross, who's available to the community with his work. So let's get to it. So that's my intro because I want you to feel something delicious and kind with what life offers us and what are people doing in the world, working and learning and sharing. So Andrew, what brought you to acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine?
I mean, in the moment when I was making decisions, the personal injury is what brought me to kind of delve deep into that. But in my life, I keep coming back to the healthcare sector. There's something about wanting to improve the life experience of people and to help people, enjoy life more, be able to live more, be able to get more out of life, with through a healthy body, you know, healed body. So I've kept kind of edging onto the healthcare sector, but it was indeed a personal injury that had not a clear journey ahead as to what that healing process was going to be like, how complete it would be, how long it would take. And acupuncture really helped me at the beginning of my healing for that. And so I kind of dove back into that when I was making some choices about, where to go next. And it just really hit the mark for me.
Mm. And me too. Personally, I feel like even coming to be with you and my injury I had over 3 years ago, I was standing on my feet for 4 years, and you doing the work not only on what I feel is weak on my left side, but how you tapped into all the meridians and the places of where injury could have been from nerves or from my bursitis or my plantar fasciitis and all these places. Audience, this is a real deal. Other than being a practitioner myself and using hands-on for the same reason with Reiki, what the magnificence of each of these tools are and why specialize in one area or a couple areas is the impact that each one will have on supporting our healing process. So let's get through a little bit more in um, what is the most appealing aspect of traditional Chinese medicine?
For me, the most appealing aspect of Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, is how individualized it is. It is so specific to each person and not just that person in general, but what is going on with that person in that moment, in that time. Every time that we see someone for an appointment, we are reassessing what's going on with them. We're taking the cues of their body, what their body is telling us, what it's showing, the symptoms, what those symptoms mean, and how they're interacting. And we come up with a game plan based on that current situation. We don't kind of just say, oh, you've got a cough. We give you this. Oh, there's a lot of side considerations and intricate nuances that we look at. And so I think the most appealing thing is just it is medicine for you, for each of us, for all of us. And it just can, so dialed in for each situation.
Well, let's go into that a little bit deeper because I think that's essentially, a very profound thing that happens when somebody would walk into a room with you. Myself, even knowing the same thing that I go through with teaching Reiki or working with it. You're schooled to understand meridians, you're schooled to understand pressure points, you're schooled to understand alignments, you're schooled to understand the emotional body. So why don't we talk a little bit about those things? Because I think that's where it'll come into play when somebody walks in a room with you and you start to like, is this hurting? Okay, you tell me this from your intake form. Okay, so I'm going to check this, and then we'll get into the needle talk. So let's get through what it would be like through your schooling and what you've understood now, how all of this is functioning.
I mean, the body is all it's all connected. The nerves go everywhere. There's lots of times you'll hear people talk about, the gut brain, the brain in the stomach. But the nerves, they pass everywhere. It's all interacting with it all the time. Similarly to how someone might, look at reflexology and that, you access the whole body through the palm of the hand or through the sole of the foot. We call those microsystems because it's a convergence of all the nerves for all the other parts of the body, all the organs, all the aspects. But we have many of those across the body. So there's other spots that we'll look at either on the head or on the stomach or on the ear. But even beyond that, different parts of the body mirror other parts of the body. And so imbalances in the body, which is what we consider in Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, the imbalances in the body, they will result in sensations or blockages or things going on, and it might be elsewhere in the body. And so sometimes we are tapping into some connected, and it's a beautiful intricate machine, these bodies of ours. And so the tools that I've been given in my teachings just shows us how it's all connected and how it works together and how we can tap into that and what to pay attention to, how to listen to what the body is telling us.
Yeah, so let's go over a little bit about my intake with you and audience. This will be something to grow in and learn with because this is a pure testimony to the results of coming into an experience with Andrew. So I came in and I filled out my form, and Andrew knows that on my left side, predominantly more than my right. I mean, right has different aches and pains, but it's predominantly pretty clear. I have a little bit of a misalignment in my jaw because of teeth that shifted. So I noticed through not only in my jaw, but that had a huge effect on one car accident I had years ago where I had a little bit of vertigo. So that threw off a little bit of another side thing. So all these little things that are playing out in my subconscious, left side, a little bit of frozen shoulder, putting on my body weight over there at times. I see that. Um, a hip alignment with a minor scoliosis, and a normal thing which a lot of people have is because we come in and out of the womb in different ways and we grow through that way. My knee from standing on for 4 years, but many years in trades and sales. So ignoring that, I actually ignored it too long that it turned into plantar fasciitis. So I've worked through these healing modalities myself with many tools, being a yoga teacher or working at the gym. My son's doing kinesiology, or with Reiki, and then hands-on with lots of really good therapies or even medicine. And what I noticed different with acupuncture. So Andrew had his second. He scanned my body, came in. He checked all what was going on in my head too, because he knew that there might be something connected there. My underpit, my shoulder, my hip, my knee, the back of my leg, my ankle, my toes, and my foot. And so within there, he was able to find those places when he touched through them that were sensitive. And he knew where the placement of where certain things were too. I could see where he was holding my hand down to find pressure points, where he was finding a flow or a current, and then placement. And placement of the needles, we can go into the whole talk about needles now. I will just let you know, audience, as a child, one of the first experiences I had as a child was resisting needles, right? So my aunt was giving me blood, and I was comforted through this childhood fear. We all go through this, like, whether it's a right or wrong thing for all of us, there's always something there subconsciously, whether this is a foreign object going into us from a very young age. Whether you're getting a tetanus shot or whatever it may be, kids are all exposed to whether this is a trauma or a good thing. So obviously that's going to come up in our questioning is like, with acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, what do we feel about needles, right? So just to give you a heads up about my experience with Andrew. So Andrew's got me a little bit aware, making sure that I ate something, that I had some nutrients in my body, in case there was impact of that. And he offered me an orange. And, I remember that being at the hospital where they had orange juice or apple juice and these things too. So I was like, okay, so sugar's good, stomach's good. He can express more why he would do that, but I'm giving you a heads up about my testimony. And then the placement, after I had just taught yoga class and deep therapy for a couple hours, I was noticing I was really in my Zen state. So when he placed it in, I was a little bit more vulnerable and sensitive, that I was like, you know what, Andrew, I gotta lay down. And then he's like, here, let me make it all ready for you. And immediately it started to go to work. A shift happened. And I was like, oh, this feels really good. Hmm. And then he's like, you might notice a shift. And I start to notice a shift. He's like, you're noticing a shift here. And I start to notice a shift. So by the time I sat, how long was it? About half an hour I laid down when you had done all the needles?
Yeah, I mean, we put some, yeah, the needles were in and had you rest there for about 30 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So that holding alone and those pressure points releasing for about 30 minutes. Let me tell you about the power of bliss. Now, the combination of my morning teaching everything, and I had a little bit stored power, a lot of power, because when we teach, we go more into focus. But the ability for me to fully merge into a state of bliss, my driveway home, I got home and it was just like, whew, my leg was feeling good. The points were all good. There was a release. My hip had a release. My underarm had a release. My jaw had a release. Everything had a release. So that's why I recommend acupuncture. It's wonderful. Now let's talk a little bit more detail about the needles, maybe some phobias, and also what the needles are actually doing when they release.
So funny enough, I used to also have a major stars or ringing in my ears, blackout. Like, so I've had issues with that in the past as well. And, coming through the different modalities I looked at for my career, I was aware that, I considered nursing. I thought, okay, I'm going to have to get over this blood drawing if I'm, needle thing, if I'm going to be drawing blood. But, I came to acupuncture, and our needles are indeed a lot thinner than some of the hypodermic needles that people are familiar with. In reality, you could probably fit about 10 of the needles that I might use inside of the needle that is used for drawing blood. So, first off, the needles are considerably thinner, and often less sensational, but everyone's body is a little bit different. So, in terms of getting you a little bit of something to eat before we get in, we'll talk about that for a second. You need some blood sugars in your body. When we are piercing the skin with anything, there's nerves flowing through the body, of course, everywhere. So we are affecting the nervous system. Um, if the body is low blood sugar, then sometimes that nervous system doesn't have the resources it needs to regulate the body. And so that's why sometimes people might get a little bit lightheaded or have a weird, wonky feeling if they haven't eaten beforehand. And it's not anything crazy alarming, but the body is reacting. So this is why we usually advise people to have a little bit of something to eat, increase their blood sugars beforehand. In terms of the needle placement, I mean, we're considering there's all, some people may or not be aware of the meridians that flow through the body. So there are certain channels where the energy follows through the body and linking all the things. I mean, the energy is, of course, through the body all the time in general, but there are certain channels and flows that we pay attention to, and we want to direct the energy in a certain way so that the energy flows through the body and the body is able to do the processes that it needs to do in the best way. If energy is blocked or it's flowing the wrong direction, then that kind of further imbalances the body, or causes further imbalance in the body. And that's what we're trying to affect. We are trying to affect a balance. The body is continually being thrown out of balance by everything around us. We can get deeper into that a little bit later, but the needles themselves, we're essentially redirecting the energy in your body. We're telling the body to send the energy here or unblock here, move here, focus here. That's really what we're doing with the needles, is redirecting the energy. Now, for some people who do have a major needle phobia and it's something that's a major hurdle for them to get over, we have modalities to use that don't use needles. There's a number of things we can do that require no needles at all. We can use acupressure, which may, utilize specific acupoints or just along the meridians or, on the muscles in general, certain spots. So there's, a massage technique. We also have cupping, which is very popular and becoming more and more known these days. Cupping can be tasked to muscles and tissue process, but there's a little bit of bruising that's left over if those of you are familiar with it. And what that's doing is initiating the body to bring new blood and fluids to that area to repair the tissues quicker than it would have, without that extra instigation with the cups to cause that. So we're kind of accelerating the healing process for certain things with the cupping. There's also something called gua sha, which translates to scraping, and that's really good for smoothing out knots and things going on in the fascia when the fascia is catching on itself. And then, of course, beyond that, there is herbal treatments, prescriptions, food cures that we can prescribe for people to help with lots of different issues. So beyond the needles, we have a lot of modalities. There's also heat therapy, something called moxibustion, where we might apply heat directly to the skin or near the skin or just over top of the body to, again, redirect the flow of things in the body and to kind of affect what the body can do. So there's a lot of things we can do that don't involve needles, but I've also had patients who come in with saying like, I don't like needles, no needles for me. And then, the more conversation we talk about things, they become more comfortable, and a lot of people say, okay, well, I think I'd like to, see how that does for me as, they dive deeper into things and see how I'm affecting their body. They become a little more open to that. And a lot of the people who say, okay, let's try that. Oh, well, that wasn't so bad. But it's not for everyone. Everyone's body does react differently. Everyone's body reacts to therapies differently in different combinations. So touching back on what I said earlier, it's all very individualized. And so we don't really worry about one particular aspect. If someone has a problem with needles, we've got ways we can help you as well.
And we did the gua sha too. So like, around my knee where I have that some of the bursitis and on my calf. Fantastic, friends.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah,
So
gua
good.
sha, it can be intense, but it's, they all, sometimes there's a no pain, no gain approach. It doesn't always have to be painful, but sometimes there's an intensity that, later on smooth things out. So everyone's journey is a little bit different.
And it was perfect. It was wonderful. And you did ask me about, whether or not the pressure was right or wrong. And I'm like, do as much as you can, because for me, I've learned that. Like
Mhm.
even when I'm like starting a yoga class and I'm in like a waking phase and I'm like, I know I need to just warm up. But like as you were warming up, I'm like, no, 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 go as far as you can, because I can see even in releasing in my stretches, there's so much that I've released in my pain body too. So thank you for that. That was wonderful. So, with that being said, I feel acupuncture, and your cupping and all the modalities that you have enough available, including your Reiki now that you've done level 1 and 2, available to reach people with their needs when they come to meet you. And I want more people in the community to come and meet you. So, you're at 3-3 Energy. How do people get a hold of you?
I have, there's a couple ways. Joe's in the background there, through energy. So I'm bookable online. I do have a Jane account that is accessible through my Linktree account, which is listed on my Instagram profile. My Instagram profile is at Andrew Gross TCM. So on that profile page is my link tree, and that takes you to my booking links. I'm at, like Leanne said, I'm at 3 Energy on
Three
Broadway,
energy,
Canyon.
three energy,
3
three
Energy.
energy. Jojo, if you can hear us,
Free energy.
3 Energy.
three energy. We love Jojo, everybody. That's the partner, and he's the owner.
Yeah,
And this is an amazing opportunity for us to work together.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The space we're working out of at 3 Energy is absolutely amazing. There's so much positive, fantastic, wonderful healing energy with the people, myself, Joe, others teaching the classes, and also the wonderful souls coming through to, take our, receive our offerings. There's so much wonderful, wonderful energy for everyone to tap into there.
So good. So yes, friends, so we know where to reach Andrew. We'll put links with this. This is Shedding the Soul Culture podcast number 35. We're growing, we're flowing, and we're making sure these modalities can reach you because when something's not working for you or medicine is not working for you, there are other solutions. So we want you to know that we're available to help you through your pain, your mind, your soul, and come and meet Andrew soon. So good to be with you, Andrew.
So much. Thank you for having me on here. It's so good to chat with you. I'm
All
happy
right.
to share with everyone.
All right. You take care. See you soon.
Thanks so much. Have a lovely day.
You too.